based on the state you're in. So if I'm in a positive state, I walk into a room, there's 8 negative things in that room I could pay attention to and 2 positive. If I'm in a positive state, I'm going to orient on those positive feelings first, those positive data points. If I'm in a negative state, I'm going to orient on those 8. It doesn't matter. What it's looking for is anything that will perpetuate or re-trigger the state. All of these processes start interoceptively. They start as a body feeling below the threshold of conscious awareness. When I generated a negative feeling about somebody, her mirror neurons picked it up, mirrored that change in energy proprioceptively and interoceptively, and followed me. When you approach, the emotional state that you're in will bias that neurology to think about you in harmony with your state. You follow me? The emotional state that you are in will bias the person to view you through the filters of that state. This is why this is our Jedi shit, right? This is why you don't see it on YouTube, unless we're showing off, but we won't give you the inner workings of it, right? So we do all kinds of really cool stuff below the threshold of conscious awareness that gets people moving and thinking and perceiving in a direction that is in harmony with our outcome, which means, by the way, you got to have one. If you go into an interaction without an outcome, you'll probably wind up somewhere else. Okay? You never begin any specific persuasion application without knowing your outcome, knowing what you want, and how you're getting it, if you're moving towards it or away from it. If you don't have those parameters in place, you're navigating without a rudder or a compass. Okay? You got to know what you want. What you want is going to predicate what states are appropriate for that encounter. So without an outcome in mind, you don't even know what states you need to be in. That's why I gave you, in Identity by Design and some of our killer influence, things of that nature, I gave you default driver states that are universally applicable, that move the neurology forward, that fly underneath the approach filters of the average person so that they become on a mirror neuron interoceptive level, curious about you like you are like them, playful with you as you are like them, right? This is why guys like Chris Stombaugh can have expert witnesses for the opposition waiving their attorney-client privilege to answer his questions. Okay? Why hostile judges suddenly become friendly. Okay? It's Jedi shit. But it's not woo-woo, it's neuroscience. Are there things we don't know about mirror neurons? You betcha. But we know this much. What's the fastest way to access that system? Posture and breathing. Change your posture, change your breathing, enter the state, connect and approach. Okay? So anything you're going to do starts with knowing your outcome and controlling your state. Can I borrow you for a second? We'll talk about volitional state control in a minute. But one of the things that, stand over here. Okay. So one of the things that we want to do is called bridging. If you notice in our little diagram here, state control, rapport, language pattern, state management, process, emotional bonding are criteria and values. You follow the formula from the classroom to the boardroom to the treatment room to the therapy room to the mediation room to the bedroom. If you follow the formula, you'll always know what to do next. But you have to bridge from one level to the next. One of the ways that we can begin to do that is through what we call bridging drills. We understand that every human being on the planet has a proprioceptive awareness around them. If you guys came to Identity by Design, you played with your grid, right? That grid is a two-way communication device. It's giving out energy, it's giving out information, it's taking in information. When you begin to match or approximate a person's physiology, you don't have to be exact. There just has to be an intention to connect. Just wait. We call this gross physiology. Not to be confused with gross anatomy, which is a slightly different topic, right? If you get within proximity of somebody and you wait, the neurologies will start to synchronize like a Bluetooth. What's he thinking? Thank you. Have a seat. It's as reliable as the laws of physics. It's just how your neurology works. Now the secret is there has to be a dissolving of the perceived barrier between self and other. A lot of people in the energy field, they try to do this thing called aura pushing. That's the hard way to do it. I'm not pushing her. I'm not pulling her. In fact, other than creating a connection to her, I'm doing nothing to her. What do? I get within a certain proximity. I wait for this feeling in my body that lets me know the Bluetooths have synchronized. Right? Once I have it, And everybody's going to do it a little different, so that's why we're going to practice this a lot. Once the Bluetooths are synchronized, anything I imagine that causes my body to move, her body will follow. So what you saw to the untrained eye, it looked like I was doing this. But I wasn't. I was imagining a little magnet pulling me forward, coming over my head, pulling me back, moving me around. And my body was moving in response to my imagination. You understand? This is how all Qigong is supposed to be practiced. Supposed to be. It's not how it's taught, because the Chinese didn't want us to fucking know. But that's a different issue. Okay? Do I need to edit that? Is that politically incorrect? Are they going to come get me now? If I suddenly disappear, you'll know what happened. Anyway. All right? How does that work? A, imagination, intention, somatic engagement, rapport bridge. Because what are your mirror neurons designed to do? Yeah. They're designed to sense intention. So the minute I set an intention and I start imagining these things, her mirror neurons pick it up, and what do? They activate the same mechanisms. And the longer I stay in that sync, the deeper it goes. It's entrainment. Okay? Now, if I don't have my state control locked in and I do this, and I'm successful, remember that this is a two-way connection. Information flows both ways. If her state, her energy is stronger than mine, it will backwash into me, and it will cause me to go get sucked into whatever state that person's in. That's why state control must always come first. Okay? Not just because of the roar thing, but for everything else. Lucky people move through the world with a different set of perceptual filters than unlucky people. Those perceptual filters allow them to see things in the environment that the unlucky people don't. Okay? It's the same fucking environment. Why aren't they seeing it? It's because the state they're in eliminates certain possibilities and activates others. If you want to be super charismatic, if you want to be super attractive, if you want to get people having the body feelings that lead to the thought processes that lead to them behaving in a certain way, start with yourself. Control your state, get rapport. Now 80% of your influence is done before you open your mouth. Because they're already primed to think and feel a certain way. Does that make sense? Now for most of you, this is review. But we are going to start playing with this concept now. We're going to actually start with physiological state control, muscle testing, so you can experience it, do it with a lot of people. Then I'm going to have you practice gross physiology and drilling down in on the kinesthetic sensation. And then finally, once everybody is certain of what being in sync feels like, we'll add the next piece, which is the bridging drill, which is the cool Jedi shit you see. Does that make sense? All right.